Hello, I'm Femi OK, and you're in the stream today. Welcome to our end of year party. Now, if you don't laugh, check your pulse. Today's show, we're going to be talking to three professional funny people, and also additional producer Malika Bilal. She always makes me laugh.
I'm definitely not a professional.
But
funny person.
Yes. She's looking out for our online community, and this is going to be really interesting because we're talking about comedy, we're talking about an end of year wrap up, we're riffing off some of our guests, they're riffing off each other. What else do we have planned?
So there's no plan.
Okay, I
love
that.
I know exactly how you like it.
Yes.
Our community likes it too, so I'm excited to hear from you. Now, if you want to join the conversation with your own questions, your comments, please do so. Use hashtag AJStream.
And joining us here in the studio, we have Adeola Fayeyon, and Adeola is a satirist, and she's the host and writer of her own political satire show, Keeping It Real with Adeola. It's great to have you in the stream, Adeola.
Thank you, Femi. It's good to be here.
Well,
and you look good.
Well, thank you.
And you look good too.
Thank you so much. And you are totally blinged out for the new year. We love that.
Thank you.
So we'll hear more from Adeola in just a moment. From New York, we have comedian and writer Harry Kondabolu. His debut album, Waiting for 2042, will be out in March. And from Beirut, stand-up comedian Nema Abu Nasser. His last two comedy specials, Epic and Victoria's Secret, broke records in the Middle East, and he's currently working on another one. So Adeola, Nema, and Hari, it's great to have you here on the show. I just want to get a sense of how you introduce yourself when you start your show, Adeola. What do you do? What's the introduction so people get to know you? We've never seen your show. Obviously, we have, but for people who've never seen it for the first time, how does the introduction go?
So I say, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Adeola. That's what I say.
Very nice. Every single time?
Every single time.
So, Hari, when you're on stage and you're doing your little introduction, telling people who you are, how does that go?
I mean, it always varies from place to place. I usually try to acknowledge the city that I'm in, like, hello, Boston, or whatever city I happen to be in, so they feel connected to me. But it's a fraudulent hello. I don't really have a great investment.
Okay. And then also for Nema, when you walk on the stage, and so where you work, you're really, really well known. But for people who are just getting to know you, it's their first show, they've never seen your show before, what's the introduction you give them?
I just say, hey, how's everybody doing tonight? And then I start with my show. I don't really think that, I agree with it's just like, no matter how well you're introduced, if you're not going to be funny on stage, none of it really matters. So I just get to it and let the crowd judge.
All right, let's get to it right now. I want to play a little bit from Harry's show that he works on. He writes on the show. He also appears on the show, and it's called Totally Biased, which is a show in the US. Unfortunately, it's not going to be on for very much longer, and you're going to miss it after you see this little clip. So this clip, Harry, is from June of this year, and it's something that's really famous in the United States. It's a spelling bee. Check out Hallie's version of how he analyzes how well some of the youngsters do in the spelling bee.
If it isn't obvious yet, I love the spelling bee, or as I like to call it, the Indian Super Bowl. 6 winners in a row! 6 in a row, son! That's incredible! So it gives me great pleasure to finally say, hey, white people, learn the language. Yeah. 6 in a row! 6 titles in a row! You can't stop us! Unless you ban kids with last names longer than 8 letters. But of course, the internet would not let me enjoy this completely. One patriot tweeted, America has to step it up with our spelling game. Last 3 remaining all of Indian descent. First of all, these kids of Indian descent are also American. Secondly, you spelled descent wrong.
All right, that made our control room laugh when we played it a little bit earlier on. Riffing off, well, a couple of things here, but let's riffing off being Indian. What's that? Why is that such a big deal for you?
I don't really know how to answer that question. It's kind of like asking, how is being you a big deal to you? You know, it's a fundamental part of who I am, and especially in a country where you're an ethnic minority, like there's both little and great reminders that you're an ethnic minority. And that spelling bee clip, you know, I'm proud of that particular clip, It's funny because I feel like I try to shy away sometimes from quote unquote ethnic topics. I like talking about race a lot, but when it happens to be very specific, I tend to try to shy away from it. But it seemed like an incredible opportunity, because here's a thing where you're talking about kids whose ancestors have this colonial history, speaking a language, their parents generally are immigrants, and they're mastering a language that like is the language of the mainstream, of the oppressor, of the colonizer, and they're dominating in it.
Sure.
And I think that, to me, it was like, this is beautiful. This is poetic justice. So that worked out great.
Well, Hari, you mentioned that you mentioned race a lot. It comes up as a topic in your comedy. There's a tweet here directed for you. Jay asks, what was your best or worst new story or experience of 2013 with regards to race? Is there anything over this past year that is going to form the basis of a new joke?
Well, I live in America, so there's a lot. But I think, I don't know about in terms of a basis of a new joke. I've thought a lot about the Trayvon Martin situation, the Zimmerman trial, and it was really hard because the verdict of not guilty for Zimmerman came out right before I was about to go on stage. And it was a strange thing because it's like, I'm a comedian and I'm supposed to make people laugh, and I have to go on stage when I feel miserable. And it's one of those incredible things where you're trying to be funny about something and you can't because it hurts so much. And that's the funny thing about comedy. I think you try to address things immediately, but sometimes you realize that there's an old like Buster Keaton adage, like comedy is a tragedy plus distance, or tragedy plus time. So part of me was like, I want to address this, but I think I am too upset right now to address it. Sometimes you just need to let time pass and find some perspective.
Sure. So Nema, the same way that Hari kind of plays off his Indian ancestry, you play off being Lebanese. Tell us how that works.
I mean, it's kind of like Hari just said. I mean, it's natural because it's who you are, and he's got his own heritage. I'm also an American, but with my Lebanese heritage as well. It depends on where I am. When I'm in Lebanon, I'll talk about it. When I'm touring in the Middle East, I'll usually adapt to whatever is going on over there. But I like to think of it as my view on life is from the perspective of a person who's Lebanese and American, and that in and of itself is just one huge like mess up right there. I mean, there's like a lot of material to draw from, a lot of different perspective by drawing those together.
I'm going to play a little clip from, this is the tough clip to play. It's from Hilarious Improv 2. So if it's not hilarious, then it's really difficult for people to actually appreciate it. But but that's your title, not my title. I'm going to play.
I like to tell people what to expect.
Yeah, it's just like, just in case you weren't sure, this clip is hilarious. Have a listen to it.
This is how it is, just so you guys, before you think I have an incredible voice. Before you think I have an incredible voice, this is what my voice sounds like. Without auto-tune, the auto-tune, it makes your voice sound beautiful. So beautiful. That's what we do, man. The music industry does that today. Isn't that fantastic? You could sing any song. Sir, you know how she's going to leave you tonight because you said you don't love her? You could get a machine like that. She'd be back in your arms just like that. Just fantastic. You just walk up to her. I'm so sorry. I'm a
Okay, so that's a little bit of Nema's act. Malika?
And Nema, we also got a lot of questions for you, and some from Lebanese who appreciate the way that you weave your Lebanese ancestry and your American ancestry together. Layla on Twitter says, in what way, though, do you think comedy can benefit Lebanon?
I'd like to think that, I mean, when I first started doing stand-up comedy here, it was non-existent. And there's been a lot of change since stand-up comedy started out in Lebanon and reverberated throughout the entire Middle East. So it's no longer how can it, but it really how did it. And when I started doing stand-up, I refused to dive into any political or religious material whatsoever. And that started to bring a lot of people together because our comedy was usually more of propaganda, and there's still a lot of it out there. So when I started to do stand-up that relied mainly on making people laugh and not instigating certain kind of viewpoints to get a laugh out of people who are against one point or another, it started to bring people together who would have never been in a room together before. Over the past 7 or 8 years now that I've been doing stand-up comedy, and it's grown across the Middle East, it's no longer just me. There are comedians in every country in the Middle East, and they're expressing themselves in very, very aggressive manner, but a very peaceful and noble manner as well. And I think that's the trick. It's become a very legitimate way of conversation, of dealing with the real issues, which are societal based and not superficial issues which are institutionalized, such as religion or politics.
See, Adeola, it's really interesting listening to our two comedians, because you work in a really different way. You take the news, and then what do you do with the news?
I try to make it funny and make people care about what's going on.
So your show is called?
Keeping it real with Adeola, so I guess I try to keep it real.
All right. Can I play a clip of yours?
Sure.
All right. This is Adeola. She does African news, African updates, in a particular kind of style. Check her out.
The wife of the former Prime Minister of Ethiopia, yes, the one that died, his wife has refused to leave the palace. So they offered this woman and her children 3 different residential villas in Addis Ababa. They said, choose one. Madam, you can't continue to stay in a presidential palace. You have to choose one. She refused. So, you know, they've sworn in the new prime minister since last month, yeah. But the guy is still practically homeless. I mean, well, yeah, you know what I mean? Because this woman won't leave. Well, I mean, he's living in the western suburb part of the capital, yeah, but the woman has refused to leave. How can you be a prime minister for 21 years and not build your own personal house? And it sounds like they were planning on being in power forever. I'll keep you posted. You know what I mean? I'm just keeping it real.
See, I laughed a lot, but I'm laughing, but there's no joke. You're not telling a joke that's really in the news.
Exactly. It's because sometimes some stories from Africa can be very ridiculous, from Nigeria especially. And you know, when I think about it, it's so ridiculous that I just have to laugh. Because if you keep thinking about these things, you get depressed. But if I can make it funny, maybe then people will tune in.
All right, so whenever I go home to Nigeria, because I have many homes, whenever I go home to Nigeria, there's always this issue with electricity and whether I'm going to get it and whether I'm not going to get it and where do I stay. And
first of all, do you have a power generator here, electric generator? Do you have here
in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, at your house?
No.
Are you kidding me? What, do you have one?
I don't.
I mean, I don't understand. You're a Nigerian and you don't have a power generator at home? I mean, almost everybody has a power generator in Nigeria. Even Mr. President has a power generator in Aso Rock, okay?
Right.
And okay, so the funny thing is he keeps telling the rest of us that he's working on fixing electricity. And even for next year's budget, he's asking for more than 800 million naira to fuel his generator. So that looks to me like somebody is lying. If you're telling us you're working on electricity and you're budgeting almost 1 billion naira to fuel your generator for next year, that means that something is not right somewhere. And the funniest part of this is that they actually budget money to fuel generators for Nigerian embassies all over the world. So I'm telling you, Nigerian embassy in DC, they have allowance to fuel their electric generator. Nigerian embassy in New York, they have money to fuel their power generator. But then tell me, when was the last time that power went off here? But at the end of the year, the money disappears. Don't ask me where. I have not said anything about corruption, please. Don't let anybody quote me.
You just mentioned
I'm
the
just
word
saying,
corruption now.
I did not say anything about corruption.
So I want to get in here because someone on Twitter wants to know what you think about that. This person's asking, is there anything about Nigerian corruption that truly makes you laugh? Do share, please.
I mean, what's there that you wouldn't laugh about? Everything makes you laugh. This is a country where the first lady can get away with buying 200 brand new exotic cars for 55 first ladies. 200 cars for 55 first ladies that came to Nigeria. Does that even make sense? 200 cars for 55 women?
So if you're first lady and you visit Nigeria, you get a car?
No. This was for African first ladies who came for the First Ladies Summit in Nigeria in 2012. She bought 200 brand new cars for 55 first ladies for a 4-day event. And you know, she got away with it. So doesn't that make you, I mean, if you think too much about it, you get depressed, which is why I try to bring out the comedy out of it. So
So Nema, I heard you chuckling as Adeola was chatting about some of the shenanigans that were going on the African continent, and particularly in Nigeria. Some of your humor, though, I love the fact that you actually just acknowledge the fact that women are basically smarter than men. How else can I say it?
Thank you.
Never.
It's true. It's true. I'd also like to say that we have electrical generators for every home here too, Adiola. So I identify with you on that point for sure.
Thank you, my
yes,
brother.
definitely. And I agree. You're not Lebanese, you're not Nigerian if you don't got an electrical generator. I'm with you on that one. But as for women being smarter than men, yeah, I mean, definitely. I think if you think that women are not, this is a legitimate thing. I say it on my shows kind of like it's a joke. But I mean, I genuinely believe women are smarter than men in a more general term. I mean, and I like to prove it. I ask people, when you were in high school, did you ever take notes off of another guy? Never. You know, when you're a guy and you want notes off of somebody, you go to a woman because they underline stuff. They use different colors for different subjects. And women are crazy. They'll look over their notes, and if they look at a word and the P, they don't like the P in the word, they'll just rip the whole thing, write it all over again. You know, everything's perfect. Us guys, we're so stupid, we can't even understand our own notes. I mean, I've had conversations where I'll call a friend up and I'll be like, dude, I don't know in geography if I'm talking about the Byzantine Empire, if I was just drawing some boobs. And he'll tell me, we have geography. So that's basically how I like to put it as an example in a very subtle and funny term. But I do believe women are much more intelligent than men.
And you don't need to be a comedian to actually appreciate that. Malika?
As the people on set here will attest to. Hari, I'd like to go to you with this tweet we just got in from Sir Charles, he calls himself. How do you keep it fresh each time?
It's kind of what I was saying earlier. I think it's good to integrate a few new jokes in when you're doing a long show. So you're doing an hour show, just so you feel excited about some of the material. Because some things I've been doing for like a year longer, and they don't feel fresh because they're not fresh. You know, they've been around for a while. So I try to integrate some new material with old material, and also kind of be in the moment, whatever that is, because each show is different. And if you treat each show as a job and just do what you have to do, wrote and memorized, it's going to feel a little boring. So it's important to just be present. And also, the quote I gave her about tragedy and humor it was not a Buster Keaton quote. So I don't know why any of you would care, but it's not a Buster Keaton quote. I misquoted that.
Did you just Google that during the show?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm in my apartment
so
in
anal.
Brooklyn. I'm in my apartment in Brooklyn. I'm not even wearing trousers right now.
Okay.
I can really do whatever I want.
That I will ask you to prove that in the post show. Meanwhile, now that is a good reason to go to stream.aljazeera.com in a few minutes' time. Adiola, I have 3 African first ladies here on my laptop. These are people who have turned up in your satire. Tell us about them and why are you satirizing them?
So first of all, if you want to know what it means to be a first lady, I feel like people have to go to African countries to take private lessons. Okay. I don't think that Americans know what it means to be a first lady. I mean, the power that comes with it. When you're a first lady, you are it. In Africa, you own the power, you have the authority. Right. I mean, if anything should happen...
Let's talk us through who our first ladies are here, because they're good examples for us. So in the green, we have Grace Mugabe, right?
Yeah, I mean, Grace Mugabe, some people call her Disgrace. Some people call her Disgrace. I don't know why, that's none of my business. Others call her Gucci Grace. I like to call her Gucci Grace too, because she likes to shop till she drops.
Gucci Grace.
But this woman, she spent $120,000 within 2 hours in France in 2003 just shopping.
How do you even know that?
Well, because it was all over the news. Right. And not only that, you know, she punched the British reporter when she was in Hong Kong in 2003 or 2004. She punched the guy until his face started bleeding. You didn't hear about that, Femi?
Very Naomi. Patience Jonathan, First Lady of Nigeria.
Well, some people think that Patience Jonathan is out of control. I would never say that, because that's just too big for my mouth. I would never say anything about that. But that's because she was trying to build a First Ladies Center in Nigeria with 4 billion naira taxpayers' money.
Okay, and we go to Ethiopia for our final First Lady.
Well, we just talked about her. If anything should happen to Barack Obama, you don't imagine Michelle Obama still being in the White House by herself for like 2 months after. I just tried to picture that for a minute. But this woman was in the presidential palace for like 2 months even after her husband passed, and after this one in the new prime minister. So she was still in the presidential palace. Well, no, thank God she left, thank God Almighty. But yeah, she was there for months after her husband passed, and the new prime minister was renting a place until she left.
All right, Malika.
Well, you know, Femi, something we mentioned a little bit earlier before the show is that some of our community members wanted to talk about satire and the explosion of satire sites and what that means for the news community, those of us who are in the news. So, Hari, I want to go to you with this tweet from Francesca. She has a question about a very popular U.S. show, of course, The Daily Show. Most of us know it, but for our international community. She says, Hari, why do you think many Americans get their news from comedy shows like The Daily Show? And I'd like your thoughts on that, but also on the blurring of line between satire and news and what that says about us.
I mean, I think we've all been trying to figure that out. Maybe it has to do with the ineptitude of most mainstream American news sources, and maybe it's more thorough on The Daily Show. Maybe it has something to do with Americans not reading the way they used to, and this is, you know, comedy is an easier way to get information. But you know, it's kind of what we talked about earlier with humor. Like, you can slip in a lot of messages when people are laughing and talk about difficult things in a way that still is entertaining, and The Daily Show does an incredible job of that. So I'm not really sure why. I mean, certainly humor has always been used in a way to share ideas and thoughts and spread news, but like nothing like The Daily Show. You know, it's an incredible phenomenon.
Sure. Let me bounce back to Beirut and chatting with Nema again. Nema, it is shocking how huge you are in the Middle East. You fill stadiums. You're working on another special right now, but I want to show a little clip from epic movie trailer number 2. Just tune into this, viewers, and see what Nema's getting up to here.
Join Nema Abu Nassar in the comedy event of the century. Witness the adventure, the romance.
See your girlfriend, sir? How long you guys been going out? 2 years. Whoa. How old are you, sir? 34. How about you, ma'am, if you don't mind me asking? 22. So as a pedophile, how does it feel? What did I say?
Oh my goodness, you so went there. Okay, so you're working on a new special. What's the plan for 2014?
Well, honestly, 2014, that was epic, which I released as a film, and that was my second to last special. My last special was called Victorious Secret. Victorious, but pronounced, it sounds like Victoria's Secret. I was just having fun with that. For my next special, I've been working the longest on this one. This would be number 7. And I'm still not quite happy with where I am yet. It's been 2 years now in the making. And I might be coming out to the US in the meantime to do some work over there, to basically work on my material over there, get an extra added edge to it. I did that a few years ago and it was a lot of fun. And I think I'm going to be coming out again soon, so I might be delaying that special for a year or 2 more to go and expand a bit in the United States, where I'm not as known as I am here. I'm not known at all in the US as I am here. So, you know, I'm looking forward to going out and being treated with zero appreciation, you know, just ground myself once again and start from zero. It's exciting for me.
All right, good luck with that. 2042, waiting for 2042. Why are you waiting for 2042, Hari?
That's the year when white people will be the minority in America.
And it's also the name
no,
of...
no, I'll tell you, it's very strange to say that alone in my apartment, not in front of an audience.
And not have an audience. But this is how you practice your comedy all the time, right? Don't lie to us.
No, this is pretty weird.
Right.
But you know, because usually there's an immediate reaction, which is people laugh. And there was a moment of silence.
We were laughing. Laugh louder, everybody. All right. No, so we appreciate it. It's a tough thing to do, and we appreciate the fact that Hari and Nema and also Ariola, you did a great job of actually bringing comedy to TV with an audience that are laughing at home and not necessarily laughing that you can hear them, right, everybody? And the online community, how do they react?
There's a lot of LOLs, and I think they're real.
All right, so stay with us. Stay with us. For the post show, we will get Hari to stand up because he told us he was actually in Brooklyn with just his top on, so we will see if that is actually true. He has enough time to put some pants on if that is necessary, and I have enough time to tell you about the program tomorrow. We'll be taking a unique look at India's third gender, the Hijras, and their fight to become an accepted part of mainstream society. For everybody who's watching, thank you for that, and have a very happy new year. Take care. Hello there, welcome back. The stream's end of year parties continuing on the post show. So let's get right back to the conversation. With us we have funny people Adeola Fayeun, Hari Kondabolu and Nema Abu Nasser. So looking ahead to 2014, I'm just thinking, Hari, for material for you, you never quite know what's coming up next. So do you riff off a lot of stuff that's contemporary, or do you work on sort of themes that you prefer to work on that are sort of timeless, as it were?
I mean, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
You know, like if something's in the news, that'll trigger a thought, and I'll immediately start writing on it and see what material I already have that might connect, or what other thoughts come to mind. But you know, sometimes the thing with with all of us is that we collect our thoughts, right? I've been collecting every thought I've had basically since I was like 15. So, you just kind of always are writing, and whatever's around you is going to influence that writing. So it's never as clear, at least for me, to, oh, this is a thing, let me write half an hour on it, let me sit down and write.
Sure. Sometimes
I'll do some of that, but it's a lot of, stream of consciousness, what's in my head, just put it on paper.
I'm actually going to ask all our guests this because I'm really curious. There's some events and some situations that happen and you just think that is comedy gold. For instance, if we go back to the very first elections with Barack Obama and Sarah Palin being in those elections for Saturday Night Live, which is a very famous TV show in the US, that was comedy gold for them. Just that election alone. What's been comedy gold for you this year, Hari?
Oh, man. Well, I've been thinking a lot about the whole Redskins thing in the U.S., the American football team, the Washington Redskins, and the fact that like every time you say the name of the team, it sounds like you're using a racial slur. Because you kind of are. I mean, the image is a disembodied indigenous man's head, which is kind of a bizarre logo to begin with. And I've been thinking a lot about how the idea of tradition and what counts as tradition, and people argue we can't change the logo because it's tradition, even though, it's only like 80 years old, so it's not much of a tradition. And so I was coming up with I'm working on a compromise for Redskins fans and people who have a conscience,
right.
Which is you can keep the name the Redskins, but change the logo from a disembodied Native American man's head to a severely sunburned white person. And that allows you to keep the logo and your dignity.
See, I love the fact that Nema is laughing there because he knows that you need laughter to kind of carry that joke right onto the end. Nema, you're awesome.
He did it as a favor. Not because he
brilliant.
He did it as a favor.
He meant it. He meant it. I could feel the sincerity in that chuckle.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So Nema, comedy gold for you. What was it this year that you were just like, thank you for this happening?
Oh God. First of all, that was a genuine laugh. What Hurry said was absolutely hysterical. Great punchline.
Thank you.
It's what was comedy gold this year? I mean, unfortunately, this year was not a good year for being in the Middle East. If you're looking for anything that's comedy,
is there a good
gold,
year ever for that?
I guess the Arab Spring.
Tough region to be in for mining comedy situations.
It's a tough region to be in. Definitely a tough region to be in. For me, comedy gold this year was a bridge that we built in Lebanon. And actually, sadly it's been comedy gold for the past 3 years. We built a bridge in the middle of the highway, and nobody's ever done that before. And we like to think of ourselves as pioneers in that respect. To look at it positively. But yeah, that's been comedy gold for me. Literally, you're driving down a highway, and then smack in the middle there's a bridge. There's the highway around the bridge, and you have to. It's very schizophrenic. It's a lot of fun for everybody there. It's like a free carnival, if you will. So that has been my easy joke ticket for me this year, has been just mentioning the bridge, and people are like, the bridge, So that's, for Lebanon, the best I can pull out from this past year that I've been able to relate to without having to go to too much violence and killing, unfortunately.
Nice. Malika.
Well, Nema, you mentioned that that's an easy joke because in Lebanon, that's something that everyone can laugh about. But there's a question here on Twitter from Don. He says, what's been your biggest achievement in your life as a comedian? So has there been anyone who has been a little bit hesitant to laugh that you've kind of felt accomplished when they did?
My biggest achievement really has been, as a comedian in this region, has been really the fact that I've been able to bring people into one room that back in 2006 when I started would never have even sat close to each other. I think my biggest achievement has been doing comedy to make people laugh. That might sound a bit foreign to people out in the US and maybe even in Africa, I don't know, I haven't been there. But I think me and Nigeria and Beirut would share some of the same principles in that respect. But comedy here is more a form of propaganda. It's a tool. Even comedy events for a while were another form of money laundering. So when you're dealing with a art form that you're trying to be pure and strong about, you're combating money laundering, propaganda. So when I started doing comedy just to make people laugh, suddenly you'd have people from different political factions, Christians and Muslims, Shiites and Sunnis, different types of Christians, all in one room, all laughing at the same thing. By the time they walk out of that show, an hour and a half, 2 hours later, they realize they have a lot more in common than they did before. And I'd like to think, and a lot of people would say so, but I'd also I believe that I've helped cause a lot of positive change and put a lot of hope for people that didn't find any in a region that's been so torn for so long.
Wow. Adeola, I really have to point this out so people realize that you are a journalist, right?
Yes, I am.
So you'll come to your subject in a slightly different way, but still, there must be events in the year where you think, oh, I have got so much material for the program this week. When was that? When did you have so much material where you thought, oh my goodness, the jokes are just writing themselves?
Sometimes ago this year, some officer on Channels TV was asked the name of their website, and he didn't know it, but he didn't want to admit that he didn't know it.
So role play this for me then. Take us back through it.
He said the website is, well, he started coughing. He wasn't coughing before. He started coughing like, I'm going to tell you, no, we don't have one. But he insisted that he can give a website and his Oga at the top give another website. His Oga at the top means his boss.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, he said the name of the website, but he forgot to say .com. So he said, and then said DC. That's it.
Did he make it up, do you think?
That was a huge joke, and I was able to dance to it. People made it into, you know, they made it into a song. I was able to dance to it, and you know.
You danced to that?
Yeah.
How did you dance to that?
It's called my Oga at the top. No, you can't see my dance, because once you see my dance, you ain't gonna like me no more.
What was the dance?
Well, you know, I just sort of make stuff up. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My dance is unusual.
That was comedy gold for you?
It was.
Wow.
But right after that was when Obasanjo wrote his letter to President Goodluck Jonathan.
Okay.
People actually printed the letter out. They're selling it on the streets of Lagos and Abuja.
Right. Malika.
And that's something we covered, so I know that that's something that Nigerians definitely cared about. There's a tweet here asking about how optimistic you are, and so we asked our community how optimistic they are as well. A lot of them wrote in, and they said that that question was laughable. Yeno on Twitter says, optimistic, ? Are you kidding me? Come to Nigeria, stay for 5 years, then tell me if a new year can bring optimism. So are you optimistic about 2014?
I am actually. If I'm not optimistic about Nigeria, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, because I believe Nigeria has the potential. It's just that we're yet to realize that potential because of the leadership that we have. But
every Nigerian says that, and they've been saying that since my dad was a boy, which was over 70 years ago.
Exactly.
Always the leader.
Well, not only that, they tell us that we're the leaders of tomorrow, and the same people that said that they're still in power for decades. So.
And in the meantime, lots and lots of material for your show, keeping it real.
Yes.
Let me go back to something. Hari, I'm addicted to your clips, as I'm addicted to everybody's clips, but I play one clip and then I have to play another one because it cracks me up. So this one is you're in the UK and you're doing your act here, and it's on BBC 3, I believe it is, and you're talking about a homeless man. So I just want everybody just to check in and see what he's up to.
I'm about to devour the sandwich in front of the supermarket when I saw this homeless man out of the corner of my eye, and I started feeling guilty. So I went up to him and I said, "Excuse me, sir, can I buy you something to eat?" And he honestly said, "No, buy me a vitamin water." Wow. That is the best advertisement for vitamin water ever. To hell with basic needs. What is water without sugar and electrolytes? Now I realize some of you are thinking, "Hurry, we're in the UK right now. You said vitamin water. Surely you meant vitamin water." No, I meant vitamin water. That story happened in America, and that homeless person was not British, okay? There are no homeless British people in America. For 2 reasons. First of all, there would be visa issues. Secondly, as a result of the colonial legacy, there is an inferiority complex Americans have about the British, and therefore, your accents are highly employable. That man would have a job.
So, Harry, I just want you to know our control room is laughing at your material. They found that very funny. I thought the whole vitamin joke was hilarious.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering about how well your humor travels.
I mean, I've been discovering that it takes more work than I thought. I mean, that clip was from Russell Howard's Good News, and that, you know, that certainly there was some work there where I had to make some adjustments to. It was like what I was saying before, to acknowledge that yes, I'm in a different place and I can't just do what I normally do.
Yeah.
You know, I did a tour in India 2 Januaries ago, and it was a lot harder than I thought. You know, it was.
What was hard? What's hard about it?
I mean, you know, people keep saying, well, no, you know, everybody knows American television programs, everybody knows American politics, but there's a difference with knowing basic things and actually in depth, you know, dealing with things on a day-to-day. And so, you know, I don't just make references to television shows, and I don't just mention the president's name. I actually delve into issues that if you're here on a day-to-day, you can actually relate to. And so, you know, it forced me to kind of write about things maybe that were a bit more universal for that tour, and also think about my place in, for example, in an Indian setting, you know, and that was a very strange thing because I talk about things as an outsider, often as an ethnic minority. When I go to the UK, for example, it's strange because I'm not necessarily, I'm talking as an Indian, they're reading me as an American, and when I go to India, I'm talking about my place as an outsider in a different country. But again, to them, I'm a different kind of outsider. I'm like an American coming in. So, you know, that has always been difficult for me and has required, you know, some clever adjustments.
Malika.
Nimmer, I have a last one here for you on Twitter. Sarah wants to know, is there one thing that you were unable to accomplish in 2013 that you wish to achieve next year?
Ever since I've been 4 years old, I've been trying to accomplish this very thing, and it's to be a Ninja Turtle. And 2013 was another
which one?
epic
Which
failure on
Ninja
my
Turtle?
part, unfortunately.
Which one?
I mean, people might find this answer shocking, but Raphael. I know a lot of people expect me to say Michelangelo, but
no.
I would settle for Michelangelo. I'd even settle for Donatello at this point in time. But if I were to set my aims, aim my set my height aims, aim my set highs, whatever the wording's supposed to be, I would go for Raphael. Hopefully the Vatican and other religious and political institutions will stop trying to stop stem cell research, so this dream could become a reality. I pray every day to the gods of mutagen, and I'm hopeful. So in 2014 is another year where I will use the massive amounts of money. I make massive amounts. Last year I netted at least $200 for my career. The massive amounts of money I'm going to be putting towards supporting the stem cell research of me becoming a bona fide Ninja Turtle. Fight crime, meet an April O'Neil, see if I can find a girl called April who wear yellow all the time.
And eat pizza.
That's
of course.
That's for me.
There's a lot of eating pizza involved.
I mean, can I say that Raphael is the comedian's Ninja Turtle?
2000. You agree with? Thank you, Hurry. High five, intercontinental salutations across the nations.
Ninja Turtle because it's either Raphael or Donatello because of his inquisitiveness, which comedians have. Michelangelo is the idiot's Ninja Turtle. He provides nothing.
He's the heckler.
He's the
heckler of the group. I like to think of
clown. Basically, it's like Raphael would have said something in class, and Michelangelo would have repeated it in a less funny way, but people would have laughed. Because he would have been louder. That's what it would have been.
Do you know what I feel like, Malika? I feel like, you know, when women stumble into men's secret life, and this is the conversations that they have behind closed doors.
Although I will admit, I wanted to be April O'Neil, so...
But you and I would never have a Ninja Turtle conversation.
But that has more to do, right, with the lack of great female characters on that show.
Very true. Very true.
Well, April was an amazing character. I love how this has turned into a Ninja Turtles critique.
This is a universal. I didn't know this was universal until right now, which is incredible.
It's universal, my friend. It's universal. April was a very strong female character, and Shredder, his daughter, is the main villain as well. So you have two very strong female characters. And in the remake of Ninja Turtles that's going out right now, one of the Ninja Turtles falls in love with April, and she bounces to go with Casey Jones, and that ain't cool. And that's a major rift right there, driven by a woman. So that argument that women don't have major, I think women should get into the Ninja Turtles.
Gentlemen, I have to say this could go on for hours, and I'm very disappointed having to wrap it up.
Now this is an interview. This is a show right here. Now we're talking.
Now it's very special. And there is a lot of laughter going on as well. So gentlemen, thank you so much. I wish you the very best for 2014, whatever you're doing. So with you, Hari, with your comedy album, your very first debut comedy album, thank you so much. By the way, Hari, can you just stand up for a moment?
I'm sure I can't see what you're seeing.
Okay, very good.
I feel so left out.
He is actually wearing trousers. And also to Nema, thank you very much, and good luck with 2014, and may you have continued success. And
Thank you.
Adiola.
Good luck to you. Good luck to Hurry. Good luck to Adiola as well.
Thank you so much. Adiola, thank you for joining us on our set. How was it being off your set and on our set?
Say that one more time.
How was it being off your set and on our set?
It's awesome. I like it here.
Very nice. Okay, so we are going to wrap up things for now. We're going to wish you a very happy new year. Tell you though very quickly what we're doing tomorrow. We're looking at India's third gender, the Hijras, and their fight to become an accepted part of mainstream society there. We will see you online as always at stream.aljazeera.com. Thanks for watching.